Morning, it's Paul from Paxton's here with Emily. Sorry, we're having a bit of a laugh because Emily is very nervous. She says she's got sweaty palms and you name it. So we've been having a bit of a cackle. Anyway, it's Feel Good Friday today. So we've had some Feel Good Friday music on this morning. Emily's choice, not mine. Mine tends to be a bit more classical. Hers tends to be. She said put on some chilled music, but it certainly wasn't chilled in my definition. Quite the reverse, actually.
Spotify for you.
Anyway, hope you're all okay. I've got some really, really, really exciting news because tomorrow Emily and I are going to pick up a puppy for me, which is a cross between a Schnauzer and a King Charles. King, what is it?
Cavalier? No.
Cavalier thingy. Anyway, one of those. Anyway, it's a tiny little puppy. We'll might even say I'll get Emily because she's the IT guru here, and I might get her to stick a photo up of it so you can see what it's like. But it is incredibly cute. I'm going to call her Lola. I think my brother had a doggy, a boxer called Lola at some stage in time past. So anyway, that's what she's going to be called. So anyway, we're going tomorrow morning to Swansea, aren't we? Yeah. And we're going to go and pick up Lola. So you've got Mr. Excited sitting here in this chair. And the reason for this today, this post actually, is that I was talking to Emily this week. I think I was playing with the sonic tape. I wasn't playing with the sonic tape. I was measuring with the sonic tape. And I think Emily asked me the question and said, oh, what did you used to use to measure when you were first in agency? Well, I started in a state agency in 1973-74 as a boy straight out of school, straight into an estate agency as an office junior. And obviously, pre-internet, pre-everything really. Do you know, I'll tell you this, what surprised me, the most amazing thing out of all of this that I find is that most people aren't even breathing at my age. But the thing that amazes me most, that actually I can find my way to work in the morning, and even more amazing, I can find my way back home at night as well. It's remarkable at my age, honestly. But so we started having this debate about what it was like being an estate agent back in 1974, not 1874. And she said to me, she said, what did you measure with? And I said, right, now you're talking. So I said, we actually used to use a wooden tape. Right, a bit like a ruler, but this thing was concertina, so you'd flip it out and flip it out and flip it out. You'd lay it on the floor. Emily was in hysteria when I told her this the other day. She was literally roaring with laughter. But you would roll this wooden tape out on the floor and measure across the floor. But it must have taken, she said, that must have taken ages. Well, actually, it probably did take ages, but things were really different. You didn't have... you know, there were no iPads, no iPhones, there was no internet. There were photos were black and white. So things were really, really, really different. And I said that, you know, we excelled and moved up in the world of IT. Well, it wasn't at all, because the new concept that came after the pull-out wooden ruler thing was actually a roll-out tape where you could wind it back in. And I was saying that, you know, what you would do is this little metal clip pulled out, and you'd hook it onto someone's window handle and then drag it across the room and measure up to the wall on the other side. Well, it was probably completely inaccurate because you had about 4 inches into the window reveal, which you'd also include into the measurement. And very frequently it would drop off onto someone's ornament and either knock it off or break it. So it was real trial and error. So that was that. So you had no iPad, no iPhone, none of that stuff. It was a pen, paper, and a pad. The camera was just purely black and white photo. So on the property details, you know, you look at the property details now, and you've got a really nice photo on the front, colour photo, and you got internals and whatever. And we do 4, 6, 8, 12-page brochures, which obviously covers a lot. There were no floor plans, and obviously got floor plans. So I was saying, when you got a brochure, it was just one A4 sheet. It had one tiny photo that was about that big of the front of the house, which was so unclear. It could have been any house. No back garden photos, bit about the house, the dimensions, and obviously the usual description and stuff like that. And I was saying that, when I first started, like Emily sitting in the office, I wasn't allowed out of the back room, which was a print room, coffee shop, tea shop, whatever you want to call it. And the only time I was allowed out of that back room was to bring the tea in, or to go out and buy the boss's fags in the newsagents around the corner. I always remember he used to drive, I won't tell you what his name is because he might still be alive. Possibly not, because he's older than me. And he used to drive one of the little old minis, like Mr. Bean drives, one of those things. And he was about 6'4", so he looked absolutely ridiculous in this thing because the old minis are smaller than the new ones, And he smoked like a trooper. He was a chain smoker. And instead of using, the ashtray in the Mini was completely overflowing. He never emptied it. So he just used the floor. So the whole of the floor of this Mini was completely loaded with cigarette ash. You probably needed a pair of waders in this thing. And I used to get in there and think, oh my goodness, the smell. And of course, you probably smelled like an ashtray yourself by the time you got out of it. But, if you wanted, I'm sorry, Emily's having to listen to all of this, me babbling on. But anyway, I thought I'd include her in this so that she was party to it as much as she tried not to be. She couldn't bribe me enough. We're filming.
All right.
Or am I not? Right, sorry about that. Someone stuck their head through the door going, I'm filming, we're filming. But anyway, he's gone there, he's coming back later. Lovely chap, really good guy. We love him dearly. So I never came into the office at all. I think it was about 2 years before I was allowed out of the back room. And the back room was a print room, and I used to have to operate we used to produce our own property details, which were all black and white, no colour. And I used to have to work this, what was called a Gestetner print machine. So I used to make the plates. So I think the secretaries, my recollection is they used to type up something or other, and then I'd make on this special paper thing. And then I'd make the metal plates, they'd roll around the drum, I'll put all the paper in. I was showing Emily how to fan out paper the other day. It was very interesting, wasn't it?
Very detailed.
Yeah. It was very precise. And that was the other amazing thing, that at my age, I was surprised that I could remember how to do it. But anyway, so I showed her around the fan paper, so I'd print off the brochures. And the other thing, of course, there were no emails, so of course everything was all hard copy. So the only ways of communication, there were no fax machines then. This is really, really dark ages, square wheels, like hammer and chisel, with a stone tablet. So, and I'd have to, if there was any mail that went within about a mile of the office, I would have to walk it. So that was called by hand mail. So I'd have to walk it to its destination. So I might be out for a couple of hours posting letters through people's doors and solicitors and wherever else. And if you were, you as a buyer, if you were looking for a house, there was no right move, of course. You either went and looked in the window of the estate agents. You could ring from a landline telephone on one of those that you go, turn the wheel. The ones I made. She won't.
No idea.
She'll think, what is he on about? So completely, with the lift up the handset, dial the number. The older ones like me will know exactly what I'm talking about. Or you'd have to pop in the office, you'd register for property, and you'd go on the mailing list, and then we'd have a plastic box with all the cards with people's requirements on there and a telephone number, and that was really it, and probably posted out the brochures to people when we took new properties on. And that really were the they were the good old days. Talking to Nick, who works for me, about this the other day, and we're saying there were less pressures in those days, because obviously you didn't have all the stuff that we have, children have now, in terms of iPhones and iPads and computers and gaming, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of those things we don't have. How would you survive if you had no internet, no mobile phone, no iPad, no computers?
How would I survive?
I mean, you were lucky to get a cigarette lighter in your car.
I think I'd do okay. I mean, when I was a bit younger, we used to not have phones, so you'd go around your friend's house and knock on the door and things like that. But you get so used to it now, don't you? It just becomes part of day to day. But yeah.
And do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? All the modern technology, do you think it's
pros
good or bad?
Pros and cons. There's definitely pros and cons with it. You can do good with social media, but then you can also do a lot of bad with it.
Yeah, there is.
But yeah, depends what you use it for, because you can use it against people as well as that.
Yeah, people weaponise IT, don't they? Yeah, I was talking about this in something else actually that I do, which is nothing to do with the business, and talking about I think it's probably relevant that you have to be quite discerning, I think, when it comes to social media and what you share, and also really what you tell people. I think that everyone, and I know from personal experience, and a lot of people I know, but the majority, I think there's all things, no one's life is perfect. We've all got things that we have to battle with, and some things you share with close people and some things you would not share. And I think that we all have to be quite discerning about who we share certain things with, because without a doubt there are people out there who would weaponize that information against you. And I think that's probably one of the great dangers of social media, is you can get it out there instantly and reach a huge number of people. And obviously, we know about the word viral and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a very different world. In my time you didn't have any of that, but I think there's some really, really serious challenges out there for young people. And I think, parents like Emily and Rob and Sarah and Rich and Kathy and Hayley and Natalie, they've all got children. I think there's a lot of parental guidance that has to go into all of this as well.
Even like on a business point of view, with say reviews on a company, you could tarnish a company so quickly by leaving a bad review.
Yeah.
And like people are so quick at doing that than writing a nicer one.
Yeah,
in that sense.
they are.
That's where, again, with the social media side of things, once it's out there, you can't really get it off again, can you?
You can't, and I think probably most companies have experienced that at some stage in their business career. And that's right, Emily's right, that once it's out there, it's out there. And the thing is that I think people can use social media badly, wrongly, unfairly, and unjustly. And as Emily said, they can tarnish your reputation very quickly, when actually you may be completely innocent, and it can have lasting impacts upon you and your business, which is really sad, I find. I just think it's just so wrong, but it's where we are, and sometimes sadly people are people, aren't they? And I think that as I say, fairly often in something else that I work on is, because someone might judge us, I think the right thing is always to not judge them in the same way that they judge you. And I think, I've said to Emily and to my other staff as well, a bit of a saying is to do all the good you can to all the people you can, all the time you can, while you can. And I think that if we can all treat everyone with love, and if we disagree with someone, to disagree graciously, I think the world would be a better place. And I think that, it's a bit like I stuck on about the puppy the other day that I'm getting, and I put a note on there. I think I've never had a dog. I don't know anything about dogs. Well, I do, but not really to any great degree. But what I put on there is that pets generally, whether cats or dogs, maybe dogs more so, they show unconditional love. They don't bear any malice, they don't bear any grudges. You know, it is just complete and total love, and they never judge you. And I think that humanity, you know, could learn a lot from the animal kingdom, and I think certainly dogs. And if we could love in the same way that they do, I think that it would go a long, long way. I'm digress because that got quite serious, I think. So a little bit deep. It wasn't meant to be, but anyway, we ended up there. But how long have you been here now?
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
How long does it seem like? 6 years?
Yes.
Oh, seems like 6 years for me, I could tell you. But no, I mean, Emily came to us about 6 months ago, about the same time as Sarah,
Yeah.
about the same time as Nick, and probably just a little bit after Kathy as well. So in terms of our staffing profile, it's increased quite a lot. You know, and me as a business owner, you know, I think probably the same as every business owner would agree, is that you're only good as the people that you work with. And, you know, that's very, very much the case here. And I think for me as a business owner, and I'll say this because Emily knows this, all my staff know this, is for me, this team of people could not be any better. This is as good as it gets. You know, and if anyone said to me, is there anything you could change in terms of your staffing profile? The answer would be no, because actually it doesn't get any better. And I think, you know, the reason being is that, you know, I may be the business owner, but I never think of myself as the business owner. I never like to speak of myself as the business owner, although, of course, the buck stops with me on everything. But I think that we are not just colleagues at work. We are, I would say, best friends as well. We have an extraordinarily close, deep relationship as a team of people. And I think this was something that Polly Rathbone-Ward picked up, who's an HR consultant in Bath, when she interviewed me a while ago now. And she said, you know, you have a really unique relationship as a team of people, which you don't see very often. And I think that, you know, we're all individuals, but we're all part of a team. We're all part of a business. You know, we're a company of estate agents. But I think the one thing that we all look to do, want to do, and I think that we do achieve, is that we provide what I think is a really, really true and caring service where this really is built on honesty and integrity. And I think it's easy to talk about these things. It's so much harder to live it out. And I think that people want it. It's difficult to get, I think, in any mainstream business and anything that you look at. But I think that if you can operate on that basis, if you can operate a business as a team of people, you know, revolving around honesty and integrity and caring, then I think that goes a really long way. And I think that people appreciate that. What would you say is, Emily doesn't know I'm going to ask this question, nor did I till this second. What would you say is the biggest thing that you've learned since you've been here? Putting you on the spot a bit. You can have a think about that for a minute. Okay. Just have a think about that for a minute. I mean, as a business, we are obviously residential estate agents. We do commercial. We do lettings. We have a really good lettings department. We have broadened out into new homes. I have a lot of experience in terms of new homes construction, you should probably know from some of my other videos. We've set up a section dealing with care homes, probate, people with Alzheimer's, dementia and so on. And the purpose of that is really to provide an information service in terms of guidance. We've just produced literally care homes brochure. We've just produced one on new homes. We're doing a property search business as well, which will cover the whole of the southwest of England as well. What else? What else are we doing?
Can't think. It's gone.
I think we're doing something else, but I've got to be honest, my brain's gone as well, so I can't remember. So back to the question. If anyone was to say, what have you learned in the last 6 months since you've been here at Paxton's? What might that be? And it could be personal, it could be business.
Like a business side of it, from places that I've worked before, you can be close friends with your work colleagues. A lot of people put up a bit of a guard, don't they?
Yeah.
But you can still have that friendship and still work well together.
Yeah.
And I think it actually helps you work well together in the sense of, like me and Kathy, job share. I don't want to do much wrong because you don't want to upset Kathy in that sense, but it's nice that if something does go wrong, no one's going to hold a grudge against anyone and things like that. I think it's just working as a team. You learn to, or in the last 6 months, learned that just how close everyone is, it just works better, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
In that sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think that's really true, because I think that probably we've all worked, and I've said this before, we probably all worked in a company where the environment, the conditions are hideous and horrible, and you dread every day having to go to work. It is miserable torment, and you can finish work on a Friday and then you're dreading going in on the Monday. But I think that for me as a business owner, I haven't experienced all of that. Maybe it's my ethos, maybe it's, me as an individual, the way that I am. I want to have relationships with people, like Emily and the rest of the team here, in the same way that I would want it from an employer. And I think that, our relationships here are extraordinary, to be honest with you. They really, really are, in terms of, sorry, the phone's ringing. I've just told Emily to leave it, let it go to answer phone while we're doing this. But it is all about relationships, whether it's in the working environment or whether it's with clients or with solicitors or whoever it might be. And there really actually is no reason upon this earth why we shouldn't have good relationships with everyone, even those that cause us heartache. It doesn't mean that you can't have a good relationship. And as Emily was saying, I think, for me, if you all get on really well, if you have a really close, friendly working relationship, then it isn't something that's not real. It's something that is very, very much real. It really is in existence. We live it because we believe it, because we enjoy it, because we love it, and we really care for one another in terms of, if one person's upset, we share that. If it's a laugh, we'll all have a laugh together, won't we? And I think it's because we all really, really care about one another.
It's the understanding as well. Like if someone's going through the emotions, like everyone feels for that person. You don't have to feel like you have to hide it.
Yeah.
So if it's going to affect your work, you can talk about it. So everyone's on the same level as you. And it's just nice that you can talk about things like that with other people as well.
It is.
I think that helps as well.
It does massively. And I think that, Emily knows a lot about me. In fact, all of my staff do. There's maybe an unusual confession here on this sort of vlog, but they are well aware of some of the things in my own life, which may be unusual for a business owner to share with employees. And I don't like using the word bosses and employees. I think it paints a wrong picture, but we're that close that actually we do know a lot about each other's lives. And I think it's not because we're nosy, it's because we're interested, because we care. And I think that all, is all part of this package of a team of people being together. We're a body of people working together to achieve the same things in sometimes demanding situations, and we all battle together from the same direction, hopefully always looking to achieve good. And I think that's really what we are about as a company. So anyway, that was a real random one. Emily did really well, didn't she? Well done, Emily. She did really well. Hopefully your hands aren't all sweaty now. She'll go and wash them in a minute. But anyway, thanks for listening to this bit of a ramble. And as always, you know where we are. Telephone numbers 01225 777 696, or you can email us at inquiries@paxtonsresidential.co.uk. You want any advice, any help, you want to chat, you want a coffee, come and have a sit down, and you'd be very, very, very welcome. So we look forward to talking to you and look forward to seeing you in due course. Take care. Have a good weekend.